Hey, everybody, it's Doug Green, and I'm the publisher of Technology Reseller News. And I'm very pleased to have with me again Kristy Thomas, Senior Vice President of Global Channel and Alliances at Vonage. Kristy, thank you for joining me today.
Hi, Doug. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So, we're going to be talking about AI, and we're specifically going to be talking about Vonage and AI and how Vonage is crafting solutions that are powered by AI, business solutions, but AI, powers it and helps it happen. So, how can organizations reduce AI bias to enhance decision making and agent performance?
Very good question. First, I'm excited that we're talking about a topic that nobody's talking about right now.
Yeah,
Just
because
kidding.
AI is just that side topic, right? It's every now and then.
Yeah. So bias is an interesting conversation around many different topics. But when we talk about AI bias in contact centers, specifically service and support, there's some fundamental, I think, education pieces around it. And it's really around the bias is only as good as the data that you're giving the AI machine. So the bias actually has nothing to do with like the definition of true bias. It has more to do around the data in which you're serving up within your data lakes and your sources to help these customer service agents to support their customer at the other end. And so why that's important to call out is that we've always talked about data hygiene and how important good data is, or else you get bad data out. And so in order to countercorrect those biases, it's really important to have a governance around the data source that's being delivered and making sure that you're auditing it on a routine basis. Because not only is it going to be the source of truth that it's serving up to help the customer service and support today, but it's also learning at the same time. So if you don't make sure that the integrity of that information is accurate and does not have bias within it, it's going to continue to grow and build off of those biases and not get better to improve containment rates and solid answers.
So, what you were just talking about sort of knocks on the door of ethics. And we're hearing a little bit about this now. So let's define something. Is there such a thing as ethical design of AI?
I think there absolutely is. And I think that it has to do with a governance of data privacy and understanding, where to draw the line of how you can use these technologies to do the right outcome that you're trying to achieve and making sure that you're authentic and genuine in what you're trying to do. And it's also about consent, right? There's also this component around making sure that there's opt-in consent around how data is used and then served up to help you. I think if businesses are truly authentic in how they're trying to help a customer with a personalized experience, and then indirectly with that customer, you're getting more wallet share. There's the intent that is ethical around doing that. I think where you start to draw the line of gray shaded areas is when you don't have that opt-in and you're trying to do things that are a little bit more predictive to driving wallet spend for the future, that maybe that customer is not going to be resulting in the right positive attitude of data privacy. So it's interesting. I think what we're going to see is over a period of time, and we're actually developing in this way, is the ability for businesses to put governors or guardrails on how data is sourced to help customers in the right way, and then constantly audit that to make sure that you're staying within data privacy laws and protection. And then also having other types of autonomous bots that are having the ability to go out there and source information publicly, but not source information within private data lakes, so that they're doing other types of components and you don't have the risk of getting data that shouldn't be shared.
So let's stay with this for a second because it's so important. There's such an upside if the consumer trusts a place to do business, but the inverse is also true.
Mm-hmm.
How do you build this consumer trust?
Yeah, it's interesting. So I think, one of the things that well, first and foremost, first impressions matter in everything that you do, especially when it comes to customer service and support. Number two is that I'm of the optimistic mindset that the fact that a lot of individuals in our community today are using different types of open AI solutions on their personal levels, and they're starting to build a rapport of trust in it. I also think certain generations are going to be more trustworthy than others. For example, my daughter is using it quite a bit as a college student, and it gives her efficiency gains. But she still has to learn that there are things like hallucinations. There's things that you have to trust but verify. So I think that there is an education piece that's going to come with our consumer part of our business. But then when it comes to when it's consumer to business and trusting companies, it's around making sure that there's a level of policy trust that's conveyed, right? Meaning making sure that the company that's using these technologies is very open with how they're using it so that there's a level of trust there, and then verify, making sure that they say that they're going to do when it comes to these technologies, they're actually doing it. And that builds more and more trust of us as customers to these different companies.
Now, at Vonage, you're approaching AI with your partners. Is that right?
Yeah, we are. So our AI strategy I would say it's compounded. It's a multi-threaded strategy. But then I want to end with why partners are so important to this. Is one right now what we're doing is we're exploring ways in which we use AI to power our current solutions to get better and more effective for the businesses. So, for example, at Vonage, we have a solution that's called AI Studio. And AI Studio is a click not code, intuitive solution for building interactive voice recognition platforms, or what we used to know back in the day, Doug, as auto attendants, right? But this is like third generation of them. Well, just that AI Studio alone and the way that it has evolved, it has given so much efficiency gains to the administrator. If you remember, let's talk about Avaya. You would have to know how to do vectors, and you would have to open a ticket. And then that person would have to go in there with a big, vast knowledge of how to shape the auto attendants. And maybe that happened on a quarterly basis. Well, now you leverage AI Studio, and really it's anyone proofed. You can go in there and make real-time changes, but it's also QAing your solution. It's making sure that it's testing it so that you don't get loops or dropouts of your callers. And so it's how do you power this with AI to be more intuitive and effective internally for your business? But then also moving forward, we're looking at ways in which we continue to do that and bring AI into our portfolio to help organizations, whether it's conversational AI, et cetera, but also partnering with best of breed solutions that are maybe industry specific, because there's going to be a lot of vertical evolution that's happening with AI. And also allowing our customers to bring their own AI. Many customers want to own AI, or they have a technology that they've invested in across the business, and they might want to bring their own AI. So it's not just really one strategy. It's figuring out different prongs to leverage this technology to help a business at the end of the day. Now, what partners come in is, historically speaking, there used to be these statistics where it'd say when you start to talk to a company, they're already 30% informed on the solution that they want to source. I think that has changed tremendously. That's not actually informed. They're actually probably 40% overwhelmed with all of the information that's out there. And so where partners come in is that they can work with organizations in Vonage to identify what is it that they're trying to accomplish? What are the different use cases that potentially they could bring AI into the business? And what of those use cases represent the highest ability of ROI to implement that on hello? They represent business feasibility and technical feasibility to adopt. Because I think that's the hardest thing right now is that whether it is the IT buyer or another stakeholder, when it comes to leveraging AI, they don't know how to really build the business case around how do you build an ROI around it. And that's where partners can come in and help and identify where those use cases are. Beachhead an AI use case to show the value that brings to the business and an impact, and then build trust around the technology and get more and more alignment with stakeholders to do more of this across other use cases to better their business.
And, it sounds like there's a balancing act here of making it very easy and fast for your partners to develop new AI powered solutions, but also at the same time, you want to retain the responsibility and ethical development.
Yeah, it's a combination. You're absolutely right. There's, and you do that through ways in which what for example, what APIs we expose in our platform versus others. And then also, you always have to put governors around what data is accessed and what's not in these types of environments. For example, with us, we can look at a lot of different types of real-time audio conversations that have been digitized, but strip the headers and any of the personal information, but watch patterns and trends to help other organizations leverage that technology to get better. But you're right, there is a balance there that has to happen in terms of what we give access to and what we don't, to make sure that we're still a trusted platform at the end of the day. And that is one of our charters, as part of an Ericsson company, and then also just who we are in terms of a multi-billion-dollar global communications, is we want to be the number one trusted platform out there, because that's the most important thing out of all of this is the technology can be innovative, but you also have to have a level of trust and security on your infrastructure to make sure that the companies that you are solving for solutions in the marketplace, they trust the platform.
So in that vein, how does Vonage's open AI-driven platform support ethical AI?
Yeah, so we have, and within our product and engineering team, we have a whole subset of solutions engineers that are under the engineering team that roll up to our compliance and trust teams. So when we're going through the development cycles for agile development, we have a component in which we're looking at this from a compliance and trust of everything we do. It's not just going through a roadmap to speed to innovate to time to market. It's really around making sure that this is going through the right compliance. We also have really strict compliance around what kind of access we give and don't give to around Vonage customers, to our partners, to others, because we are compliant around national security and a lot of different things with that. So again, we really focus on having a hardened, trusted platform.
So with all these efforts, you guys released a report, Global Customer Engagement Report for 2025, your GCER, which found that less than half, 40%, you mentioned 40% earlier, of customers feel service has improved over the past year. So I think, what was the actual number? Less than 40%, right? That said, hey, it got better.
Yeah, it got better. And I think, this is just the market trend in general. And I think this is the interesting thing about service is because of these statistics that we're seeing, it's a couple different focuses for organizations, and that including us is we really believe that service is the new era of marketing. Customer service, excellent customer service, is what is going to differentiate businesses in the marketplace. And so we focus on that internally. The customer is always the center for us at Vonage, and then we build our solutions out from there based on what the customer wants, but also empowering our customers to build a real charter around that. If they can deliver the best customer support and service in their industry on what they do, and we're a partner in doing that and helping them get better, and it's a differentiator for them, that's what we're focused on doing. There's so many, Doug, and I'm sure you've seen it. All these different statistics of one bad experience and how customers will leave these organizations, and they're everywhere. And I would be remiss on a technology podcast if I didn't talk about statistics, because you got to throw two out, right? But the reality is that I think what we are going to see more and more of is the organizations that really lean in on excellent customer service as a marketing strategy are going to differentiate. And even if they're smaller companies, they will be able to outpace Goliaths in the industry. And we see this. We see organizations that are coming into this digital era, right? And they're born digital era, and they're now competing with some of these older organizations that are much larger, because that customer experience gives them a differentiation, but then also they're leveraging these technologies to give them scale, which they can grow a lot faster and be a lot more agile to their customers where others can't.
So that's, as we wrap up our podcast today, that's what you see, that organizations are going to continue to expand their use of AI and leverage AI to actually get their arms around customer service engagement.
I do. I think that AI technologies, and there's all different types of subsets of you've got agentic AI, et cetera. But I think in customer service and support, that's where you're really seeing the most optimization to leverage AI technologies in today's marketplace. And a lot of that has to do with also, it's where the brand ambassador is for the organization. It's also the most expensive piece, the human element, the people part of customer service and support. It's the most expensive piece of an organization. The technology is only 20%. So how do you leverage, these people that you have that are the expensive people to make sure that they are put in the most successful way to do what's right? And that's help the customer when they need to be helped in a human engagement. And then the other mundane tasks, leverage AI to do those.
So, Kristy, I want to thank you for joining me today. This is always interesting. Where can we learn more about Vonage and the way Vonage is using AI to leverage AI to make contact centers better?
Yeah, sure. So go to Vonage.com, and that's where you'll be able to see all of the different ways in which we are powering customers in the marketplace. We're also going to be present at an event that's called Contact Center Week in Vegas coming up. And so we'll have a strong booth presence there. And in that booth, we'll be demonstrating the different use cases in which we are solving for business outcomes with our AI technology and how we're powered there. I would be remiss if I did not close with the fact that I couldn't be more proud to be here at Vonage and overseeing our global channel and alliances, because I've watched the heritage of our organization. I came back to Vonage because of where we're going strategically. And, when we look back, we were the forefathers of delivering residential phone system called Voice over IP. And over a period of time, we've continued to grow through acquisition and innovation to be best of breed for enterprises when it came to communications as a service, or also known as unified communications as a service, leveraging our API stack to be able to integrate and power applications or developed tools for companies. And now fast forward, we've got a contact center as a service that's powered by AI technology and unified communications. We're part of Ericsson. We continue to innovate around this. And I think the most important thing about everything that I just said is that businesses still are going to connect humans to humans. And when that conversation happens, the live conversation that happens, that's where we put our mark. We deliver high quality, impactful voice, and then we surround the digital technologies around it to make sure that businesses are scaling into the marketplace with other innovation. But we really do focus at some point when human in the loop happens, it's a secure, high quality connected voice conversation for our customers.
Well, Kristy, I'm looking forward to learning all about what you're doing at the upcoming event. But for now, I want to thank you very much for joining me today. This is really interesting, as it always is. I look forward to our next one, too.
Thank you so much, Doug. Have a good rest of your day.